Well, hello everyone. Thank you so very much for joining me today. As you can see, I've opted for a change of scenery. I'm enjoying some of the gorgeous New England fall weather. So I know that a lot of you are trying to learn to sing on your own. You're teaching yourselves how to sing. And for some of you, this is entirely possible. Today, you have available to you so much information about the voice and how to train it. From books to training programs to free online resources, from websites to podcasts to singing forums to YouTube. It's all there at your fingertips. And so long as you properly vet the sources of that information to ensure that you're getting accurate information and sound advice for your training, you'll probably do really well. But there's one skill in particular that you need to develop in order to ensure that your self-study is successful. And that is the ability to accurately and objectively assess your own voice, from its qualities to its skills. And today I'm going to share with you some ideas of how to go about assessing your voice. I'm going to talk about some of the things that you need to look for. And at the risk of embarrassing myself, I'm going to use samples of my own singing from between 14 and 17 years ago. Now these are all sound files, MP3s, because even back then I was terribly camera shy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that that is my voice today. That's how I sing today. And I'm going to listen really, really closely, and I'm going to give myself a very accurate and honest assessment of its skills and its qualities. And that way I'll have a much better sense of direction in my training. I'll have a better idea of which skills I need to improve, which qualities I need to work on, which aspects of artistry I need to develop further, and also an idea of what I am doing well.
Your conversation, don't think you really heard. So I sit like a solitary chair, absurd and unmistakably me as the walls spin kaleidoscopically around my oddity. Don't think you really heard what I was trying to say. Towel, let down your hair, swim the moat, fly up the stairs for love, I chase you down. Turned inside out my flesh and bone. If I beg you for bread, will you give me a stone? I'm dead. desperate for you. I'll pray and spinning and maze, and I'll pray. No, I'm not too proud to grovel at your feet. I only wanted this. It feels alive, this alien thirst. Like a painful and accidental awakening, I am sick and falling faster into my own ruin. Decrepit, dare you to touch me while I'm something less than human. Slick and needy creature, this black beneath my nails makes me eager for a sacrifice, for a sacrifice, for a savior. And that one mistake is contained. All that I'm worth and what I am is revealed in this moment of truth. Oh, can you stay inside me? How can you say with pride she is mine when I don't deserve your grace? Like a temple of inconsequence, meaningless, stretched beyond my human reach. I'm tearing, and empty-handed, and this twisted rack of bones is the only thing that keeps my heart from leaving. Unhinged, I'm coming apart on the inside, where I should be sturdy. I search for something and I find it where I left it last, just as you said I would. Dangling your shoes over stiff pews between Sundays past. I knew devotion wouldn't last any longer than that. Most
Now, the really funny thing is, as I was listening to these old recordings and trying to find little clips to be able to share with you guys, my elder son walked into the room and he did not realize that it was me singing. He didn't recognize the voice, even though he hears me sing every day. And I hope and believe that that's a good thing. That all of those things about my voice, those limitations, those things that were a little bit off with my technique, off with my timbre, that they've all been improved. And, as the months go along here and as I start to recover fully, I will definitely share some samples of my own singing from today, and we can compare those two. And if you're teaching yourself to sing, then you should also be able to hear that growth and that improvement in your own singing when you listen back to how you sounded a few years ago, even a few months ago. But we shouldn't stop here, though. In our evaluations of our own singing voices, we should also acknowledge the things that we're doing well, the qualities about our voices that we do like. We don't want to just focus on the negative all the time. I record a lot of personalized video lessons in which singers send me samples of their singing, whether it's a song or a series of scales, and I provide an assessment of their current technical abilities and other aspects of their voice. And I also provide them with some exercises to help them develop some of those aspects of their technique that need further development. And when I record those videos, I'm always very sure to talk about some of the positive things about their voices. Because I think sometimes as singers, we become so focused on the negative. We focus on the things that we are not doing well, the things that we do not like about our voices. I am just as guilty of doing this as the next person. But we do need to hear and acknowledge those things that we are doing well. Those things about our voices that are maybe a little bit unique, that maybe intrigue the listener, even though the voice itself and the technique are not perfect. There are always good, positive things that we can find if we're looking for them. So with my own voice, when I wasn't having those little registration issues, I had pretty decent intonation. I could hold a tune, and not everybody can initially. My voice was also often described as being very sweet and pretty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It may not have been a commercially viable sound, at least not by the standards of what we come to accept today in pop music and rock, but it was nevertheless a sound that a lot of people really liked. It's a sound that got me gigs. I remember one particular lesson with my first singing teacher, and at that point I was so incredibly discouraged and frustrated. I hated my voice. I hated the fact that it wouldn't do the kinds of things that I wanted it to do. It didn't sound like I wanted it to sound. It didn't sound like I expected it to sound. And I, at that point, told him that I was quitting. I wasn't going to sing anymore. I wasn't just quitting lessons, but I was done trying to make my voice do what I wanted it to do. I was done singing. And thankfully, he didn't have a student immediately after me because he was going to the bank and he invited me on this little walk with him. And he proceeded to explain to me that no, my voice isn't big and powerful like those baritone rock singers and those male gospel singers that I admired so much, but that there is merit in having a sweet and pretty and light voice, that there's room in the singing world for all different types of voices. And at that point, years of failed emulation were over. At that point, I started to realize that there is indeed value in my voice, that there are good things about my voice. And I started to appreciate my voice. And once I started to accept my voice for what it's designed to be, and started to appreciate it for what it was, flaws and all, that's when I started being able to find my true voice. That's when I started being able to really start to grow and develop in my skills and my technique and my artistry. Now, one other good thing about my voice is that it was a healthy voice. Not once did I ever have any kind of vocal issues. I was never hoarse. I never had a sore throat. I never lost my voice. I never had any kind of vocal injury. Now, mind you, yes, I was singing lightly. I was singing in a head-dominant sound. But I was singing for hours and hours, sometimes a day, at rehearsals, at gigs, and my voice never failed me once. And another positive thing about my voice is that it actually served me well professionally. I got a lot of gigs with that voice. I sang at churches and restaurants and bars and festivals and coffee houses, and I even opened for a number of bands. It served me well. Obviously, people heard something in my voice that they liked, even though it wasn't a perfect voice, even though it may not have met that standard of a commercially viable sound. People liked my voice. And so there weren't only bad things about my voice, even though I was often focused on the things about it that I didn't like, the things about it that I couldn't do with it. And so when you're doing an assessment of your own voice, don't do it with that mindset that you're trying to be critical and you want to beat yourself up about the things that you can't do with your voice, the things that you don't like about your voice. Instead, focus also on the positive and figure out ways in which you can build on the good that's already there. And use that assessment as a tool to give you more direction in your training. So please let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you along this journey in trying to teach yourself how to sing. I am here to be a resource to you. I'm here to help you in whatever capacity I'm able to.